Hello, people of Twitch, and welcome back to IPL. It is Wednesday night. That means it is time for Swim or Sink number 198. We are just two Swimmer Sinks away from the beloved Swimmer Sink 200, but that is later on in the future. This is the now. If you don't recognize my voice on the mic, my name is Carney, and I am joined here by a first-timer on the IPL. If you saw Golden Paddling Pool over on Dapple Productions, y'all know who I am about to introduce. How's it going tonight, Sasu?
Hey, Carney. Hello to the people of YouTube as well. Super excited to be here. I've been around in the zeitgeist, as you mentioned earlier today. I was commentating for a lot of paddling pool. I had to step in a little bit at the end there as well. Happy to do that, but it's a full day of commentating for me. Very bad day for those of you who hate me, because I will once again be here on the mic, and I'm very happy to see this SOS 198 with you, Cardi.
Absolutely. And again, we're here, we're vibing. It's your typical Wednesday night over here on IPL. Now, let us take a dive in here and see exactly what we are going to be going up first. As is per usual for our IPL SOS streams, we're going to be giving you all of pools, starting off with our first group here. We're going to be going to Plue versus Cowboy Vac Pop, starting off on Museum de Alfonsino zones, followed up by Hagglefish Market and perhaps a ship-shaped cargo company in our future.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that game 3. I think both of these teams extremely close in their seed, so it's always exciting to see that on the stream, because you're knowing, listen, it could be a case where there is just a Grand Canyon between those two seeds, despite the fact that they look to be really close to each other. So it might just be this quick 2-0 for either team, but more preferable is that it's just this sort of back and forth, and they're forced to go to that last game, that tiebreaker, and we'll see what happens from there. But I also have to not worry, but wonder whether with a name like Cowboy Vac Pop, are they going to be wearing a cowboy hat, and will they be running Vac?
Well, actually, if we do want to take a closer in-depth look into the people of Cowboy Vac Pop, if you just give me a quick second, I can pull this bad boy up right here.
We're looking at Arkham, Chippy, Flynn, Joey, and Marks of the Dark on their roster.
Absolutely, and if my Sendo will respond, I can give you guys the down low on whether or not this team is running a Vac.
But honestly, you never know, because you might see
Really?
there that they're like, this is what we run, this is what's like normal for us, and then next thing you know, someone who says that they only play Splash, bam, here they come out with the big swig with Vac. And it's just like, listen, maybe I usually do Splash, but you're getting the big swig tonight.
Yeah, honestly, those pocket picks, I feel like they are like, okay, so for the teams that you guys and that we here in the production zone see a lot of during these weekly tournaments over and over and over again, like all of these pretty well-known teams, you guys like kind of know exactly what their roster is gonna look like for most of it, but like honestly, the pocket picks I feel like can be so dangerous. Like, if you don't exactly know, like, you know, okay, like, oh, this team runs, like, a standard competitive comp, but all of a sudden one of them switches from, like, pencil to zap, and then you're like, what the hell's going on? And speaking of what the hell is going on, let us take a look at that weapon comps on both of these sides here.
Yeah, of note, we've got some interesting things happening here. A big bow, of course, with the new big bow, rather, with the inkjet that we've kind of been seeing a little bit more often, or at least out of those people who play bow, as well as those Get Welter Ghoulies, which despite the fact that I think there's a lot of believers in those weapons, you don't really see them all that often.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't really seen Squelchies much, but honestly, it might work out for them in this moment here, because we see that Plue now is looking like they are going to be trying to get control of the zone, as the rest of Cowboy Vac Pop is still in control of this zone on their initial push. We see that bubble being popped by the roller, but the stamp on the side of Cowboy Vac Pop is just doing a really good job of like making sure that the rest of that area in mid is trying their best to be colored blue, but with 2 going down on Cowboy Vac Pop and a delayed 3 down, that means that Plue is going to be taking control of the zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Plue has that pencil, so now that they're taking that center stack, it's going to be super hard for you to drop, because I think the name of the game here is going to make sure that you are able to displace that pencil so they aren't just tap-shotting you on your own plat. You see already, Plue hasn't had any sort of hands on the zone, so they're going to be able to paint over this and keep their numbers ticking as long as a Cowboy Vac Pop isn't going to go in there. You see, they currently have the zone in neutral, they do paint over it, and now I think we're going to see a change of hands.
Absolutely, and just like you said, we do see a lead switch going over to Plue now. They are still slightly in control of that zone. Cowboy Vac Pop does end up going 3 down in the moment, which is going to be huge for the members of Plue to hop on that spinner, hop on that plat. They are going for the kill, they're going for the KO, I feel. And with those sodas being out on the side of Plue in the single digits within their grasp, Cowboy Vac Pop has to act now lest they be knocked out by the orange ink.
Yeah, that was just a crazy sweep. We saw that Plue was really on the back foot for a lot of that game. It was looking like Cowboy Vac Pop was just going to be able to run away from it, but that is essentially a 100-0 run there for Plue. Really strong showing. They really got their lick back there at the end.
Yeah, it was not looking good for them at first. They were getting like pushed back. Okay, Museum de Alfonsino is kind of a hassle to play on. I feel like it was just okay. So like Cowboy Vac Pop had the lead in the first half. They were doing really good at keeping control of that zone, and then all of a sudden they got that delayed 3 down, and Plue just took them by the throat and like did not let go. Like they were just going on picks after picks after picks and keeping that advantage state, and that's really what you want to see in such a finicky zone like Museum de Alfonsino. Now, I do speak of finicky zones, and I feel like we're going into a less finicky of a map to play, like the classic Hagglefish Market splat zones. What are your thoughts on this?
No, I'm inclined to agree. People tend to know that I call Hagglefish zones the great equalizer, because just about anyone in competitive Splatoon should have an idea of what they go, what the plan is, because it's got everything here. It's got the flanks, it's got this zone. I'd be surprised if any competitive team looked at a Hagglefish zones and was like, we don't know what we're running, we don't know what we're doing. So absolutely less finicky, especially because none of these teams are running anything like a reef slider that'll make life a little bit more difficult on the other team.
And I don't believe we have seen any sort of comp switches from these two teams. We see basically the same from what we saw last time. We see that Mini going out with a stand, not being able to find much, but now Demo here on that zap is looking to unfortunately jump out because they are threatened by the bubble here. As we can see, Moxie is underneath the bubble's protection, looking to get a really good grip on that zone, as it seems like Cowboy Vac Pop has I don't know, wait.
Yeah,
no, hold on.
Oh,
that's Plue. No. Maybe.
Are you thinking that there's like a color issue, or are you...
Hold on. I think I've missed so sorry to everyone on
Do
Twitch.
not worry about it. I think that we've obviously seen Cowboy Vac Pop do a really strong showing now. Finally, Plue has been able to move forward and get their hands on this zone, stop that push, which is going to be paramount if they're going to pull out this win and stop the set from ending. Because as it is now, you know, on a Hagglefish, you can quite frankly be locked out. So I think that Plue has done a really good job of not putting themselves in that position, and they may do exactly what Cowboy Vac Pop did to them in that last game and just sort of like get them from behind. It looks like they have no chance, and then suddenly they may go in there, but Cowboy Vac Pop clearly making sure that that's not going to happen here.
Yeah, they do have a really solid control of the zone now, and like you said, Hagglefish is a map that you can lock out on, and Arkham is looking to do that with a double on those Squelchy Duelers, doing a really good, the Squelchy Duelers, the Dually Squelch. I just stopped and think for a second. I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I just said that wrong. The Cowboy Vac Pop does...
a pet name.
It is like a pet name to me. Cowboy Vac Pop did end up taking control of the zone and the lead again now, but Plue did see here, Plue moved forward in the zone and got the zone back under their control, but they do have two of their members down. We see the Tri-Strikes coming out, looking to get any sort of coverage that they possibly can. They do end up going 3 down in the moment now, and with the lead differential being this large, I wouldn't call it here, but that timer up top is ticking down pretty evenly, and honestly, it seems like Cowboy Vac Pop is in a good position to potentially knock out if they can deal with the bow, because I feel like the bow is the biggest issue there, and speak of the devil, the bow is down.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that Plue is struggling with is just an effective use of their specials. Their retake isn't should be stronger than it is, but you see with that final strike going out, they have an inkjet, they have the strikes, they have I think the mini, which has the hammer, and yet just a lot of struggle getting back into mid and effectively using those specials to capitalize off of them. So even with a kind of defensive comp with some weak retake, Cowboy Vac Pop takes that set.
Yeah, wow, and a really honestly solid set, dare I say, because like Plue had it in the first game, like we saw, and then Cowboy Vac Pop just kind of got them and just boom, 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 boom. And then they were gone. and then with that second one, it was, I feel like, a little bit back and forth there for a second here. Because it was like they had a really close lead differential in the middle of the game. It was like 48-50, if I saw correctly, which is like, especially on Hagglefish Market, you do not want to be like, you don't want to be that close to each other, because the lead, like we saw, can just swap so easily to the opposing team. It was just kind of like, once that lead switched over, and once they had a good grip on the zone, I feel like it was kind of over.
Yeah, you do have to be very wary of, you know, the other team having no penalty points, and they can just kind of eat through those, and then you're on the back foot, and it just snowballs into an uncontrollable situation. But I think we will be taking a short break, Carney. So while we wait for round 2, don't go anywhere, except maybe to get a little drinky, a little snack.
Get a little snippy.
We'll be right back with you. Hello and welcome back to SOS 198. I'm Stassi here with Carney, and we are in round 2 looking at Revelation versus Chroma Vortex. Is it the... No, I thought for a second that you said that you recognized one of the players on both of these teams. Oh no, it was that you were looking at the bracket and there were some evenly matched people despite the seeds being so far away. That's what I love about a good tourney, is that you never know what it's gonna look like we were just talking about with the close seeds and it ending in a 2-0.
Yeah, and like these 2 seeds with Revelation being the higher of the 2 that we see here at seed 20, while Chroma Vortex being at seed 48, both lost their sets. They both lost their respective sets, and they are going to be duking it out with each other in our round 2 of groups. Now we're going to be doing, we did have a little bit of a jump here. We're going from group A to group I. So we're skedaddling down the alphabet a little bit here, but I personally have not commentated these 2 teams before, so these are going to be surprise brackets for me, or surprise weapon comps for me, which I am always fond of. And for our round 2 map list, let's take a look at it. We're going to be starting off Umami Ruins, Splat Zones. Probably the strongest dual zones map of the current Splatoon scene, dare I say. And then we're going to be throwing you guys for a little bit of a weird one. We're going to be going to crab leg zones after that, which you don't really see much.
Yeah, it's certainly not as common as maybe an Umami Ruins or Barnacle and Dime if we do end up going there, but gonna be interested to see what the comps are for all of these picks if we do end up seeing all of them, because Umami Ruins, like you mentioned, it's got those 2 zones, so we're going to be in a situation where both of these teams are going to be doing a lot of scrambling to make sure both of the zones are painted over and that they have an adequate amount of control, because all it takes is a pencil setting up on snipe to just tap shot at the zone closest to them, and then your zone is in neutral and you gotta scramble to paint over it. So there's that, and then of course Crab Lake Capital, range is king here. So if we do see a charger up against a poor Splatling, we might see how that shakes out for us there.
I feel like, hear me out on this one. Crab Charger on Crab Leg Capital. I feel like it could work.
Yes. However, see, I'm not...
Also throwing me with the yes, but...
Because I would think if you're going Splat Charger, then you might want to go a ZF. ZF has the wall and it's got the strikes. So even though Crab really good on that Charger, I think you might want those strikes instead. And then of course you can protect yourself with that wall. I'm a big proponent of the ZF. And I think, doesn't Crab Charger have like Sprinkler or...
I have no clue. I don't play Chargers. Right?
Neither do I. I don't have the aim for that. I'm an aim.
Me neither. Oh my god. I am a Nautilus main first and foremost.
Well, speaking of Nautilus, not entirely rare for me to see people running on Nautilus here. Woo! And speak of the devil, there is the ZF Charger up against a more rarely seen range blaster. So we are going to be seeing those, and it's just blaster v blaster as well. So we've got a lot to look forward to in this game.
Absolutely. The chip damage on these blasters is going absolutely insane in the first couple of seconds of this match. Rowie here just on that S blaster, really dominating the entire entire zones. As Revelation has their sippies on hand, they begin to push forward into Chroma Vortex's spawn area, where if you are a member of Chroma Vortex, you do not want an S Blaster to be. Now, Chroma Vortex does end up going 3 down in the moment now, but they do have sippies at their disposal. But with what it looks like no way into zone, it is just really looking like a bloodbath in that area right now.
Yeah, you have Sugi here, putting in the work to try and zip the opponents, and 3 members are going to go down. So despite a really solid push down to 31, in theory you would think that would be it. A wipeout, however, is going to happen, and Sugi just, you were talking about those sippies, super useful here, because as you can see, 3 of the members of Revelation went down, and yet they were here fast enough that they just spawned right back in and were able to get other members down just like nothing. And with time ticking and several of those members down, that is going to be it. I think a practical 100-0 push for Revelation in this first game.
Yeah, super solid first game for Revelation against Chroma Vortex. Just, okay, like, split zones may not be everyone's favorite, but you gotta admit that was a really lovely split zones game, because they moved forward alongside either of the zones, and then the S Blast came in and just kind of obliterated everything with the chip damage, and then they just did not stop pushing. They moved forward and forward and forward, and eventually Chroma Vortex just could not hold the line. They had to fall back to spawn, and even when Revelation went down, like you said, they had the sippies up. They were able to get back to the zone basically instantaneously after respawning. So it really just... It's unfortunate that Chroma Vortex was wiped out that fast, because we didn't really get to see a lot of how they play, but we're hopefully going to see a little bit more of that during the Crab Leg Zones match.
Yes, though, I'm trying to to recall what it was I saw out of Chroma Vortex in terms of their backline, because obviously Revelations had that ZF, so they do have a charger, someone who's willing to take these one shots on these weapons to just snipe people straight out of their pants there. So gonna be curious if we see the ZF again, or even if they change over to leader, knowing that in a Crab Lake capital, having all of that range can be so lethal and dangerous to the other team that there's just nowhere where they can stand without threat of just being deleted immediately.
Absolutely. Honestly, leader players scare me. It's just, okay, listen, as like a guy who's a frontline and like kind of midline, leader players, like good leader players who could just instantaneously like knock me out from afar. Whoa! Wait a minute here. We have a swap. I believe we are going with a different kind of sippies.
Yeah, Sugi changing over to the new gal that has the cooler on it. I think, I'm trying to think what they were running before. I'm assuming a Zap. No, Sugi was on the Stamper. So that is the change we're seeing there. Back shots, trying to put out that paint to see if they can get their hands on that zone, but right now I think Rowie doing some good work in terms of distracting the teams, making them look at that top right while they cap over that zone and getting a really critical pick on the pencil.
You really don't want to be a pencil in this situation where an S-Blast is just roaming free on your grates. They unfortunately do end up going down before that Booyah Bomb was active. Chroma Vortex is pulling out all the stops there. All of their specials are coming out at once to try and get back into the zone. And after a really nice pick on that gal and that slosher, it's looking like they are finally going to get the chance to go back in the zone, giving Revelation a 42-tick penalty. But that is nothing to sniff at, because we saw exactly how fast they were able to just knock out the rest of Chroma Vortex during that first game. But Chroma Vortex is really holding their own here, as we see 3 jumping into into that scoped ZF splatter, the scoped ZF here. As we can see, those tri-strikes going out. We do get a really nice shot on that pencil from the ZF, and once again, Revelation is in control of the zone.
Yeah, I'd say that's like the number one worry here is that, you know, you're a pencil and you're supposed to, in theory, have just all of that range, but up against a ZF, a scoped ZF, no matter, like, that is a lot of range on you, and they should be able to just snipe you straight where you're standing, as we saw before, and that can deny your entire team cooler, so that is definitely going to be super difficult to deal with. You see those tri-strikes coming out of Revelation, but they are not going to do anything here. Fembrin able to get some of those picks there, camping that jump, of course, and I think with this really strong hold they have, if they're able to live these strikes, they may be able to take this lead, and they do. Rowie kind of walking around, perhaps waiting for the rest of their team to come in here.
Ooh, and they immediately get knocked out in their prime on the Booyah Bomb on Greats yet again. Rowie's just being really has just had really bad luck trying to get these Booyah Bombs active here, as Chroma Vortex is going into the single digits now. Despite the odds, they look like they are going to be taking this zone for a knockout. After getting a really solid hold in mid, they moved forward and knocked the members of Revelation out one by one, and with the power of the blaster and just with the power of, like, Fembrin on the blaster, and the fact that Vacshots had some really, I feel, really nice soda placements when they had soda, like, it was just a very well-deserved win for Chroma Vortex, I feel.
Yeah, I also feel as though Revelation kind of just took their foot off the gas a little bit. Like, we saw an extreme amount of aggression off the top, where they were just trying to essentially spawn camp them and bully them into their own spawn. You saw that the pencil on Chroma Vortex wasn't able to even necessarily stand anywhere because they were just being chipped out, sniped from across the map. There was just so much aggression off the top, and then it felt like by the end, you know, you had Rowie kind of walking around waiting for their team, and then dying in Booyah. Just maybe some interesting choices made that lacked a little bit of their aggression that they're going to need if they want to get a clean win off Chroma Vortex.
Absolutely, and that means we are going to be taking it to a Game 3, the first Game 3 that we have had for you guys over on our streaming services for this SOS. We're taking it to Splat Zones, obviously, on Parnacle and Dime. I don't know if you guys have noticed this yet, but this SOS is Splat Zones only. So we're going to be seeing a whole lot more Splat Zones as the games roll by. Now, both of these teams are going to be getting ready here very shortly to show us what weapons they have picked for this map, because man, Barnacle and Dime can be kind of a nightmare if you are the defending team, if you are just being absolutely bombarded by everything under the sun. And we do have a couple of comp switches here. We have switched back to the Zap on Laugh Track, plus that Stamper, as well as Wanako has they've swapped to the V-Sword.
Yes, I think Sugi switched back to V-Sword, as we can see, and then also, like, I think you may have mentioned that Wiper, which I don't remember seeing before, but already Chroma Vortex looking to, you know, pick up the momentum from their last game by already positioning themselves to essentially spawn camp. Those Zukas are going to come out, but once again, there is a ZF, there is a charger, a one-hit charger no less, on the side of Revelations. You see that really great pick, and then also a jump in, because Sugi has managed to pop a zip here, which I think may be granting them this zone. So we'll see how that goes, especially because they are on a tirade, and I think looking for a triple, but they don't get the clip.
For triple, but don't get the clip. But still, a double after sneaking out of that really bad position that the Revelation was in, and being able to provide such a good jump for your backline player to jump to on the Stamper is honestly well deserving of a clip indeed. Now we can see that Stamp coming out from Chroma Vortex. Looks like they do end up getting a couple of picks as Revelation loses control of the zone. Chroma Vortex takes control right back from them, leaving them at 54-44. Still a pretty decent sized lead differential, but with such a volatile map that Barnacle and Dime is, I would not want to be leaving it any closer. With Chroma Vortex going 2 down in the moment now, they do end up losing control as Revelation takes control of the zone. 3 down on Chroma Vortex, and Revelation is looking to hit him where it hurts, trying to get that lockout position available.
Absolutely, and now that we are watching Revelations try to position themselves to camp Chroma Vortex and stop them from getting towards the zone, I think that this is actually potentially an even more dangerous position than we saw when Chroma Vortex was trying to put the hurt on Revelations, because of course, once again, they have that ZF that has the strikes and has a wall, so they can make it difficult for you to get back in, but Chroma Vortex is able to not just break free, but pop the Suka. And just
I do want to point out that the Stamper was there the whole time on that left side, directly behind Chroma Vortex. They were sharking there the whole time, and so many shots had missed them in that little alleyway just now.
Honestly, Sugi, this isn't the first time we've seen them just kind of sharking there, biding their time. I think when they were in a position where their entire team was just trying to sort of bully there, I saw Sugi just in their own ink, just waiting truly like a shark. So I think between the zip, which was able to give the ZF those jumps from before, you know, Revelation just in a really fantastic spot, and I think as of now that is probably going to be game, because it is going to be so difficult to get back into mid given how big Barnacle and Dime is. So that is a 2-1 set for Revelations.
Yeah, 2-1 set, a really honestly super good job here. Revelation sandwich, dare I say, because I feel like the one match that we did not see the Stamper is the one match that they lost during this set. And I'm not sure if that's saying anything, but seeing how pivotal that Stamper was to their gameplay during Barnacle and Dime zones, like, dare I call the Stamper the MVP?
Yeah, definitely gotta give it up to Sugi for doing some really strong work there. Just sneaking behind the other team, despite being a Stamper, not necessarily a sneaky weapon. And we saw try to go for that triple, only got the double, but still a really strong showing. So I think I'm inclined to agree with you, Carney. Definitely MVP has to be Sugi from Revelations, though. Also shout out to the ZF as well. I feel like we saw some really good snipes out of that team. But yeah, definitely also some good work that we saw out of the other team as well, especially in that second game.
Absolutely, and with that, no break time for us. We are going directly into our next round here. Round 3 of Nessie's Pools is going to be underway here shortly, but let's take a look at what these guys have got to offer for us. We are going to be going through BSU Grizztaco versus Event Horizon. Now we are doing yet again another jump down the alphabet. We're going directly down to Group L here. Now, Event Horizon and Grizztaco are 45 and 40 respectively of their seeds, and thus far they have both unfortunately lost both of the games that they have played, so they are going to be vying for the Mako versus Lantern position here. Now, whichever one of these guys ends up winning this match, they're going to be moving on to our Mako bracket, and the other will be going into Lantern. So, kind of a big deal if you are as evenly matched as these teams are.
Yeah, certainly a lot on the line. You do not want to be sent down to that lantern if you can avoid it. I think of those teams, Devi, well known, if I'm not mistaken, for being on a Splatling. So we're going to be seeing if that is the case here on Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi Resort. I myself am a heavy edit player. I quite like heavy edit here. Of course, it can be very annoying when you're going up against a pencil and you're just getting chipped out, but honestly, I think you get good mileage out of a Splatling, so definitely excited to see whether that shakes out okay.
Absolutely, and not just a Splatling player, Devi is. I took a look at their Sendo page, and
is it Hydra?
Hydra is plastered all over that bad boy, so really excited to see it if we do end up seeing it. But really quick, map modes, Splat Zones, Mahi Mahi, you guys know it, I love it. Afterwards, Splat Zones, Mako Mart, and if we can handle it, Robo Ramen Zones in our future. Now we're going to be seeing Splat Zones Mahi first as soon as these teams pick their weapons and move forward into this set. Just want to point out, Mahi Mahi's my favorite map mode, so I probably, Splat Zones Mahi is my favorite map mode, so I'm going to have some very biased takes on this. So if you hear me being biased towards Mahi Mahi, it's because I like it. Now let's take a look at what these teams have to offer for us.
Yeah, excited to see if that Hydra comes out, and it is a new Hydra. Particularly the one with bubble. And you see all of those run speeds. Devi is ready to go, has that sprinkler. I myself do play a bit of Hydra, not competitively personally, but been playing around a bit with that bubble, and one thing is I was struggling a little bit with it because bubble can sometimes be really helpful for your team, but that is not what the bubble is for. The bubble is for you when you are on Hydra. So so far, members of Event Horizon have taken these really offensive, aggressive positions, and I think we're gonna see if they're able to keep this once it hits 60 and the water levels drop.
Absolutely. Now we can see Waffle here on that decab is looking to pop that bubble for themselves, trying to get a pick, does end up getting it, gets another pick on the 10. Yes, you heard me correctly, there is a 10 on Grizztaco. Not only just a 10, but we also have Glue the Dualies, which is kind of a strange comp considering what you're going to be playing around here, but Event Horizon has just taken control of the zone full force. Randy now gets a really nice pick with that Trizuka as Grizztaco moves forward into mid now, looking to get a pick, get that zone capped, get a really nice cap, end up giving Event Horizon a 58 tick penalty, which is not the biggest penalty I've seen, but it is still very big. Now Event Horizon is going to be popping those specials out of their back pocket so that way they can get their team up and running now. We see that Flow here on the side is just really sharking, looking for an opportunity to get any sort of picks as Devi on the Devi Hydra special here, just doing an absolute good job of keeping the paint going for the rest of their team.
Yeah, but you mentioned how it is an odd comp, which it is, but I think of note is that it's quite a slow comp. You have this Hydra, you have this Tent, and these Glugas, and they're kind of the heavy weapons of their class, so to speak. They're going to be taking a lot of time, they have a lot of downtime, and when you compare that to, say, a pencil, or even just, I think that may be a Sea Blast, and a common slayer like a V-Slosh that has just like better speed to it. I think that BSU Grizztaco definitely have their work cut out for them. You see CD Flow out with that Booyah Bomb, Devi really strong in taking that space and making sure that anyone who drops there is immediately going to be pre-fired by that Hydra. So we'll see if Event Horizon is able to get off of their plat and take back the zone.
Speak of the devil, that triple splashdown comes out, gets a pick, and ends up taking the zone in one fell swoop. Now, Grizztaco does end up taking it under their control yet again. The lead differential, 36-24 now, but Grizztaco has a really solid chance to swing this to their favor if they can keep Event Horizon out of the zone. And thus far, with that pencil going down, it is looking like they might be able to work through those penalty points and keep that push absolutely going now, because we can see that specials are going to be coming up from Event Horizon, but they really have nowhere to use them just yet. And with that, Grizztaco ends up taking the lead, moving it down into the teams while 2 down go on Event Horizon, and we get a water clip to boot!
Wow, that is completely unfortunate. That is going to leave them with not enough people in place or time to make it into mid. Funny, something very similar to this happened in Paddling Pool earlier today, where you had Goss on a crab just being pushed off of the map, and with that, they just didn't have enough members to retake, and they just went down. So you have that fist bump and Grizztaco taking the first game despite their slower comp, but very interesting to see if there's going to be a change in comp. No doubt not on that Hydra. Especially not on a Mako Mart. I can imagine Debbie perhaps setting up on one of those stacks, popping that bubble, making it very difficult for people to approach. But when it comes to Mako Mart, I always say, Carney, he who controls the stacks controls the game. So a lot of people maybe going to run some AoE to see if they can clear those stacks a little bit more easier.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can definitely see Debbie setting up on those stacks, and just like you said, he who controls the stacks controls the game, and it's especially like pivotal on splat zones because of the way that the splat zone is situated in between those two stacks. Again, I'm not really sure if we're going to see a comp change on the side of Grizztaco, specifically because we saw that comp did end up working really well for them, and I can only imagine with the tight corridors that Mako Mart has to offer, we're going to be seeing Tent again as well, because if you've ever played against a Tent on Mako Mart, you guys know what I mean. They are practically impossible to move around and kill unless you go from above. And if you have perhaps a Hydra on top of the stack that you're trying to get on top of, it may be bad news, I fear.
Yeah, but I wonder if we're going to be seeing Event Horizon recognize that Grizztaco is running, now that they've seen the comp, something quite slow, and see if they can just sort of speed up their comp. They were running a decapitator, right? Which probably is one of the weapons that had the most downtime out of anything. And if they instead choose to switch that out for a junior or something else that has a bubble, they might be able to just speed things up and outflank them with their speed. But let's take a look at these loadouts. Debbie changing over to the V Hydra, and I think no changes out of Event Horizon.
Switching over to the V Hydra, and I do want to point out that we've switched from the Gloogadoolies to the Sploosh-o-matic, which this is like the funniest comp known to man, I feel. Like, Grizztaco, y'all know what you're doing, y'all are sticking with it, good for you, I'm glad that it works. Event Horizon does end up taking control of the zone in the first minute here as Debbie ends up jumping out. They do have a pretty solid first push ahead of them because the members of Grizztaco are going down one after another. Now, Waffle is going to be fighting that Tent for their life here on the stack. Does end up getting the pick on Rainy there, but Grizztaco does end up getting control of the zone, which does give Event Horizon a pretty solid 22 tick penalty. But with the members of Grizztaco going down one after another, it is not looking good right now.
Yeah, you know, I mentioned possibly subbing out that decaf, but I will admit when I'm wrong because Waffle doing some really strong work on that decaf, getting the picks that they need to. I think that splashdown is going to come out, but it's not going to be enough to get that zone. However, a wipeout happening on Event Horizon is going to mean that Grizztaco gonna have the chance to set up and immediately get checked on that hammer, unfortunately. And I'm thinking that this sploosh, part of the sploosh is just the fact that, like, we pointed out that they are a little bit slow on their comp. So what's faster than a sploosh, I suppose?
Truly, what is faster in Splatoon 3 than a sploosh-matic, especially on a stamp coming at you? Like, I feel like there is nothing faster in this world, I feel. Speaking of the sploosh and the stamp, there goes the stamp out into the great beyond, getting a really solid pick on that decaf, I believe. And Grizztaco is holding strong in mid, but maybe not for very much longer as Event Horizon takes control of the zone, giving Grizztaco a 6-2 tick penalty, but the lead differential is so much here. 56-17 is just a very, very good mountain to... It's a very hard mountain to climb, but I feel like Event Horizon are going to be able to do it if they don't end up going down first, because Grizztaco does look like it's going to be in control of the zone now, as we see the Decapitator splats the stamp just as the stamp is going at them, which is kind of crazy, honestly.
You know what, Arnie? I'm starting to think, Event Horizon is struggling a little bit due to their positioning. You see that they have all this AoE. I was talking about how you need to control these stacks, and quite frankly, Event Horizon, of course, they have this blaster, they have that bucket, but it feels as though there's just not enough pressure perhaps on these stacks. You see the jump out there from the blaster. Perhaps they might have wanted to stick it out there and see if they could get that pick on the tent, but instead they retreat, and right now I would think that they'd be right under that stack and making it so none of the members can drop. You know what I mean? Usually when you have a blaster, when you have a V-slosh underneath your drop, you're just kind of stuck there, and yet it seems as though Grizztaco able to sort of get into mid and back on these stacks for free. So not much time left. We're heading in on a minute. We'll see if they're able to sort of fix this issue and whether they can get in with those strikes.
No, I 100% agree with you. I feel like their positioning has just been very off to me this entire game. Now, less than a minute left on the clock as we see the sploosh stamp yet again, getting another pick on top member of Event Horizon that did just end up going down. I believe that was Pyrie there, on just the V slosher. I don't know why I wanted to say tri slosher there. Now Grizztaco does end up going to down Event Horizon, taking control of the zone, but Grizztaco is in the single digits. Again, the lead disparity here is so huge. They are going to need to hold this zone for the remainder of the time that is ticking down, and then maybe afterwards then some, because now we can see that one does end up going down on Event Horizon. We see that Devi has the GG Booyah in their back pocket. They do end up throwing it into the zone. The triple splashdown gets the cap on the zone Not before. Event Horizon has a 1-point lead. Now Grizztaco has to hold it for as long as they possibly can if they want to end up sweeping Event Horizon here. They do end up going 3 down in the moment, which is not going to be good here. Randy does end up going down in the last possible second, which means that Event Horizon, with the 1-point lead, get their first win of the set, giving us another Game 3 ahead of us.
Absolutely, and I think, Booyah definitely GG's on tower, but certainly not on zone. You can always just kind of miss it there, or of course have the other members on the other team just paint over it, unlike maybe strikes, which can be a little bit more difficult to manage. A Booyah has a lot more holes, and you're gonna need your teammates to really push off of that. Plus, it just came out a little bit too late, so victory really slipping from between their fingers for Grizztaco, but Event Horizon able to really clutch up in that moment and keep this set alive, sending us to a Game 3 on Robo Ramen.
And man, if I like kind of like hyped up the tent on Mako Mart, I feel like the tent is going to be like even more vital on Robo Ramen zones, because we all know how Robo Ramen plays. You go in, you get the zone, you go to elbow. Now, here's where it gets real. Elbow is what you want to hold. It's what's keeping the other team from coming forward and just retaking the zone again. But especially because elbow on Robo Ramen is considered high ground. You can see the little bottom pit of the map right next to the zone from there, and in order to get into the tunnels and have those sneaky positions that you want to have on Ramen, you gotta get through there first. And with the elbow being able to see kind of everything, I feel like it's gonna be pretty hard if they have a good setup.
Yeah, this is going to be super interesting because, of course, you have those blasters. The blasters can just be at that bottom right or in any of those flanks and just chip you out. But also, Devi ultimately on that Hydra is going to have more reach, I believe, than that pencil. And so being able to stay on that elbow on top right is just going to make it so difficult to approach unless you're able to just get that chip off from Galaxy on that blaster. So it's just kind of going to be a back and forth, especially you see Yeet has changed over, I think, to those end parries that we didn't have before. So we're looking at 2 members already down for Grizztaco, Rainy kind of biding their space here, going to send out that tent shield with none of their teammates, however. So I think that Event Horizon, if they can set up in this elbow section, they might have it made in the shade, but I think that Grizztaco are back to tango, and it's going to be easier said than done.
Absolutely. Now the switch to end parries here is going to be huge, considering that they can just kind of one and done the zone with that triple splashdown, and it's really going to be pivotal on this map because of the way that triple splashdown works. You can easily get both a top and a bottom layer if you manage to do it correctly. Now 2 end up going down on Event Horizon, but the 2 that are up do have their specials under control, and they do get control of the zone for a brief second here. Now Rani on that Trizuka, looking to get a pick, not really finding much of anything there, but does end up getting some ink mines in the zone, which is going to be a really, really nice buffer for Grizztaco if Event Horizon ends up getting past the impenetrable wall that is looking like that Grizztaco is setting up here. Now Event Horizon's Waffle does end up popping that bubble close to that elbow on that decap, just really doing a good job of holding that defense down for Event Horizon as they are control of the zone once again.
Yeah, really good job from Waffle setting up and making sure to secure that pick, because I think they may have not been able to get their hands on the zone if they didn't get that critical splat there. You see that the strikes are coming out, Galaxy having to go back a little bit. Sometimes it's easier to just pop that triple splash down rather than trying to manually get those picks, and I think that really good distraction job on that bottom right, because even though the pick is held, I think they were going to push in there with that tent, but it's just not going to happen. 2 of the members are going down, and I think that Devi, as well as those end parries, are the only ones currently up, so they have their work cut out for them in terms of getting back in, especially because they have lost their elbow, and right now, wow, talk about cheesing the zone. I think they were almost able to get that, but they do go down, so the cheese not going to work here.
Cheese does not end up working in again with 3 down on Grizztaco, and that Booyah Bomb yet again, just a split second too late. Event Horizon knocks out Grizztaco from that bracket, and Grizztaco is unfortunately going to be sent down to Lantern here, which it's not bad. I'm not saying that Lantern is bad, I'm just saying I feel like
it's not
it's not Mako bracket.
Yeah, you want to be in the highest bracket that you possibly can. Some people, people have argued for generations whether it is better to make it into Mako and immediately lose or win Lantern bracket. Depends on what your team I guess like treasures and seas there, but that is how it's going to happen. And unfortunately for Grizztaco, despite an unconventional comp, really strong showing in this entire set, and both times I think they lost by the skin of their teeth with the booyah that just came out a little bit too late.
Now, we were talking about, these lower brackets, like, these lower level teams, and you would be thinking, I wonder if I could make it into, like, Mako or Lantern. Well, do I have some news for you lower level and beginner competitive players out there? Because after coming from hiatus for I believe a couple of months, it is the glorious return of Setting Sail. That's right, Under Pressure's semi-draft monthly is going to be coming back on September 13th, my bad. Third edition of Setting Sail, and I do believe that we have a video to show you guys, so let's get right into it.
What the hell? Oh my god!
New to comp but don't want to face this? Looking for a tournament to get started? Introducing Setting Sail, a tournament intended for novice level players and teams to gain practice and experience. Sign up as a solo entrant, partial team, or a full team. The semi-draft system ensures everyone gets to play. We have a results-based skill cap with no looty divisions or competitive experience required, so beginners are welcome. Compete against teams in a similar skill bracket, make new friends, scrim partners, and get introduced to the beginnings of how competitive Splatoon works.
Hello and welcome back. I hope you guys all liked the lovely video that the TOs over at Under Pressure has put together for you guys. And while we are waiting on that great white to start, again, just wanted to shout out Under Pressure, my home production channel, and its amazing semi-draft tournament Setting Sail. It's coming back September 13th. You can sign up alone, bring part of your team, bring a full group, bring whoever you want. You're guaranteed to play as long as you sign up. The cap is around a D8 level, but it is relative to results. You don't have to be like capped at D8 specifically. We are going to look over your results and put you in a bad boy from there. And you know what? You guys should check it out. You guys should check it out at dsc.gg/underpressure. You guys can join Under Pressure's Discords and get updates for when Setting Sail is ready to get signups in there. And hey, if you do sign up for Setting Sail, I might be commentating your match. So, like, there's a plus, right?
I'm inclined to agree. I have a lot of love for Carney, and you're gonna want him to commentate your set, surely. So I would definitely say sign up if you can, and we'll see you there.
Before that, we are going to be taking an actual for realsies short break this time while we get Crate White bracket set up for you guys. So take a sippy while you can, lean back, relax, think about signing up for Setting Sail. We'll be right back with Great White.
Why, hello, Twitch and YouTube. Welcome back to Swim or Sink. I'm Sasu here with Carney, and we have finally made it to our bracket, Great White Bracket, where we're going to see some of our best teams just going at it up against each other here in the elimination bracket, Carney.
Absolutely. Our top teams are going to be duking it out here live on Twitch and YouTube. But before we get into that, let's take a look at said teams because all brackets gotta start somewhere, and we are on round 1 of our Great White. We're going to be commentating for you guys Laniakea versus Heavy Metal. Now, I am familiar with Laniakea. I have commentated for them before, but Heavy Metal I have not seen before. So it's gonna be a little bit of an interesting one for me to look at.
No, agreed. I think I just clearly Namaka also just came out of paddling pool along with me as well. We were both in the sauce of paddling pool apparently, and of course I do know Monoct and Candy quite well, so definitely going to be excited to see that. But just like you, not as necessarily familiar with Heavy Metal, but I'm sure that they are going to make themselves known to us now, seeing as though they've clawed their way all the way up to Great White.
Yeah, and I do want to point out they are our seed 9. Laniakea obviously going to be our seed 8. Now let us getting started with our Museum de Alfonsino match here. We can see that we've got some interesting picks, a pretty standard comp on the side of Heavy Metal, but we see that Laniakea has brought pretty much what we are expecting them to bring with Venoct on that sticker stamper. We see Blob on that that new tri-stringer, and we are getting right into the thick of it here as one down on either side ensues, and the Sippies are already up on Heavy Metal.
I will say that Blob earlier today in paddling pool was running pencil, so this bow a little bit of a surprise, a little bit newer to me, but in all fairness, this is zone, so perhaps this is just the best the best sort of choice here, especially with that inkjet on a place like Museum. This is a really strong inkjet map. You have Blob kind of moving back to make sure that they can take care of any of the possible flanks. And with this Booyah Bomb, finally Heavy Metal able to get their paws on this zone. So we'll see how long they're able to hold it.
Yeah, and the zone keeps ticking down. 2 down on either side now. 45 to 80 and counting. That Booyah Bomb on Venoct is looking like it's going to be up soon as they are calling the rest of their teammates towards them. They do end up jumping out, which means that their Booyah Bomb is going to be saved from, I believe it was those Splat Dualies that were threatening them in the corner there. As Laniakea end up getting control of the zone, Blob is able to bring out that Inkjet, and I believe the Splat Dualies that was there wisely jumped out, because you do not want to be caught in that situation where you are directly below an Inkjet and it is firing at you. We see that crab being popped by the Dualies up on that spinner. Where you want that crab to go on zones, as 2 do end up going down on Laniakea. Heavy Metal does end up taking control of the zone yet again. There's a 2-point lead differential and 3 minutes to go, so it's still anyone's game.
Yeah, a little bit wild. I think that the zone was in neutral for quite a while, though. Definitely could have gotten ready with even more points when you consider the time. But no matter, what matters is right now, and the lead. You have Heavy Metal making their way here. Namaka, to nobody's shock, just trying to get that pick. Does get a trade there, but that is not what they're looking for, seeing as though they don't have the zone at the moment. So I think you have this F-Blast just kind of ledging here, trying to make it so none of the members feel comfortable dropping, but Namaka does not care. Namaka feels comfortable dropping there, and you see getting that pick, going to see what it is that they can take, but they will end up going down eventually.
Yeah, Namaka feels comfortable dropping right there because Namaka is playing the steel chair of rollers, just like absolutely smacking the heck out of the members of Heavy Metal and doing it in such a good job as well. We see that Venox does end up throwing that Booyah Bomb on to Heavy Metal's platform as Laniakea moves forward. They do end up getting the zone back underneath their control, 45-22. The lead differential still grows, but we still have less than 2 minutes remaining on this map to play. But that is hopefully maybe gonna be enough, but Laniakea do end up going 3 down as the rest of Heavy Metal get those sippies underway. We're looking like we're gonna see a sneaky crab on that spinner from Ying as the rest of the members of Laniakea have to be pushed all the way back to spawn in order to contend with that crab.
Yeah, that was such an aggressive crab from Ying, and even if Ying does go down, which they do, still a fantastic job of really tying up their resources and making them step back. But you have Knocked here, ever the Stamper player, trying to see what space that they can take, what picks they can get, but at the last moment you have Kama here just getting in there, getting that pick, and we are already down to 10-9, and I think with the amount of time left, that is just going to be GG's and quite a skirmish for most of that game. But Heavy Metal, a come from behind win at the end there.
Absolutely. They definitely had a really solid end game there. Just the pencil being really good at getting those sippies out. We saw the really aggressive crab gameplay from Ying on those dualies. It was just a lot of skirmish, a lot of bloodshed. Unfortunately, that 3 down at the end meant that Laniakea did end up stumbling and fumbling the bag there a bit. Now, we're going to be seeing, I feel, a lot more aggressive skirmishes, especially on this next map mode. I said it once, I'm going to say it again, Splatstone's Mahi Mahi is my favorite map mode of all time. Of all time. It is probably like... Can you guys tell that I'm a frontliner? Be honest.
Yeah, listen, I don't think that there is any backline, any charger player, any pencil player that's like, listen, chef's kiss, Mahi Mahi Resort. There is just, I think if you're a charger, there's not a lot of space to stand in terms of snipe. I think if you're a pseudo backline, like an edit, it's good enough, but obviously if you have a pencil, that's going to ruin your day. So, honestly, when I'm on machine or something like that, the whole map mode just feels better.
It honestly really does. Like, it's. I don't think Mahi Mahi is meant for pencils. Mahi Mahi was never made for pencils. I feel.
Is that why you love it?
I fear this may be true. Hey, listen. Pencils. It's not looking like we're gonna see a comp change from Heavy Metal, but I do want to point out that Venox has switched from the sticker stamper to the V stamper, so we are going to be seeing, instead of a Booyah Bomb, we are going to have a Zip Caster in the way of Heavy Metal. Now, the bloodshed is starting here in mid, as Laniakea do seem to have an ink advantage over Heavy Metal, but they do end up going 3 down, which is not a good look, and with wiping out in the first 30 seconds of the match, Heavy Metal is going to be taking the zone, taking the lead, and just moving forward to try and get it to 60 as fast as humanly possible.
But you know, Carney, I think that a lot of this is based on like how you set up, really, because I've seen many teams just get an early wipe here and just not necessarily get everything that they need out of it. They aren't able to get past the benchmark numbers that they want, but Heavy Metal clearly not necessarily having that issue here. They are already down in the 30s, 2 of their members down. I think this S-Blast able to get 1 pick down, still alive with, I think, their pencil bringing up the rear and allowing them the space, and quite frankly, I just think that their S-Blast is just working overtime. Blob struggling a little bit on how to get in and finally gets their jet. They're going to try and get this pick when really perhaps the focus should have been the zone, because that is going to be 2-0 for Heavy Metal with a 100-0 push, if I'm not mistaken.
100-0 push, and the game is over. Just like that, Heavy Metal moves forward in Great White, leaving a Laniakea-shaped hole in Mahi Mahi as they kind of got obliterated there. I'm not gonna lie. Their positioning was really good, and then they wiped out, and then Heavy Metal said, okay, it's our resort now. We're playing it on our terms, and then you had the glorious S-Blast who never died. Like, I don't think I saw that S-Blast down once during that entire game.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And like we kind of both said, like, you get that wipe at the beginning, but clearly Heavy Metal had a really good setup to just try and lock out Laniakea for good for the rest of the match. So that is going to be a 2-0. We are not going to go to Robo Ramen, and instead we are going to be looking at the rest of the bracket and go further into Great White. So y'all don't go anywhere. We will be back with you. Wait. Yes.
I do wanna let you guys know that we personally are not going to be back with you guys after the break.
Oh, I wasn't even checking the time. Wow, look how time flies when I'm with you.
Look how time flies when I'm with you, Sasu! Because round 1 of Great White has just finished. Unfortunately, that does mean that our blocks here as the Block 1 commentators has come to a close. So me and Sasu will not be joining you guys for the rest of Great White unless we tune into the Twitch or YouTube and watch it alongside you, because it is getting a little late, and we're gonna be cuddling up into bed while our commentators ahead of us take control. But beforehand, I would like to plug myself in just a little bit here. My name is Carney. You guys can find me on carnivai.bsky.social down below. You can find me on practically anywhere you get your Splatoon 3 tournament stuff. I'm on IPL, I'm on Dapples, I'm on Under Pressure, I do stuff for Stronghold, I do stuff for Splatoon Tourney, I'm maybe going to be at a LAN in October. There's just a bunch of things that I'm in that you should come and look at me. If you're tuning into From the Ink Up on Friday, I'll be there. I'll be there. Where can people of Twitch and YouTube find you, Sasu?
You can find me at Sasu in your pants on basically all social media. That's Blue Sky, Twitter, even though I don't use it anymore, Instagram, Discord. Literally, if I have it, it's at Sasu in your pants, and you're talking about lands. I think I'm set to be at Riptide if you'll be there in person. And I think that as someone who lives in New York City, Gridlock will also be happening, so be sure to go there. You will not see me there, but if you can, be sure to go support your local lands. And yeah, that's it from me. Everybody stay with us, because there will be more Great White coming up soon.
Get ready for the next battle, ladies and gentlemen. Zaydem said it was in between. My name is SPF Dark, and we're coming at you live here at IPL with SOS 198. And before we get to our first match of this next block, I am joined by a very good friend of mine here tonight.
Yes, it is I, Rocket, and we are kicking it off here for our second half of Swimmer Sync number 198 here. A little bit into our ways of Great White Bracket, we are looking at Goji plays SOS versus Fans of Blahaj. Now, I do recognize some players on both sides. Goji plays SOS. Well, that name's pretty fitting, as this is Lego Fortnite plus Jovan from Free Flow, and on the other side, Fan of Blahaj, we have two Texas natives that I know very well, Stara, who is going by Tickle Fan too, and Muffin, who is from Ziphius.
Interesting. I'm very eager to see exactly how all these familiar faces are going to be shaping out here tonight, especially since, as you mentioned, we are in our second half, or our second portion of a Great White. This is going to be a do or die for most of these teams trying to move on further to the bracket. But before they can move on to the bracket, I still have one more round here of our best of 3 sets, and we're going to be kicking things off with Barnacles and Dime.
Yes, reminder to you, dear viewers, this is a zones-only edition of Swimmer Sync, so still, like you mentioned, best of 3. Barnacle and Dime, a very flat, open map, can really lead itself to these more longer-range fights and contestations over the zone.
Yeah, I really like Barnacle and Dime because as you mentioned, it is relatively flat and there is decent sight lines, but there is some cover for some sharking weapons, for some flaking weapons to play around with. Not as much as some of the other maps, obviously, but it is still there. So to me, I feel like Barnacle Dime is like a very good just roundabout map for a lot of different types of weapon cops and team playstyles to come and really shine here.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that plat area kind of being a choke point in which your team wants to be able to kind of control that high vantage points, I do look towards the backlines of both teams. For Fans of Blahaj, that is Muffin there. You do see them have the ability to play Charger, kind of bring it out here and there. So if they do choose to bring it, it could be a different element that Goji plays SOS has to worry about. On the other side, Sunny playing that edit is allowed to have more of that paint support, so it's really just a different type of playstyle and what these two teams want to bring in with their anchors.
And another key thing to note here is with Barnacle Dime specifically, it does tend to be a little bit more of a lockout heavy map. It's not as egregious as some of the other maps we have in rotation with our competitive scene, but it can happen, and it is something to keep in mind, especially bringing those anchors along if you have the tools to try and defend and break free from those lockout scenarios here. But enough waiting, enough said, and then we'll see exactly what's on the floor here tonight on the board.
Yes, the thing that really sticks in mind here is going to be that 10 umbrella on the side of Goji plays SOS. They can really create so much space with that 10 shield moving up either side, but already you do see Fans of Blahaj will get that first blood.
A good opening Gavin on their side, and they're already going on the deep end. Star trying to get 1 pick, getting 2 picks, potentially they do before finally going down, but the damage has already been done. They're already going to take it away with 25 points and counting, but Fans of Blahaj is slowly ticking away. They just have to force back a little bit, even with have to put it all line. Goji plays SOS is able to retake that zone and retake this mid area, and is already on the offensive once again.
Yes, this Octopus is typically not very commonly seen, but I mean the Kraken just provides so much more of that fighting and, importantly, survivability. Hammer being tangible out by that 10 umbrella. You see them managing to find 1 will go down, but with 3 down in total for Fans on Blahaj, it does look like Goji plays SOS will be able to get that lead, now creating a very tough lockout situation that they need to break out of.
This is what I mentioned earlier, Rocket. This map it's kind of brutal with a lockout. You play your cards right, but it isn't as egregious as they are able to break through here. But no, 3 go down immediately. Fans of Blahaj, they're just forced back to the spawner almost as soon as they get their push going, and players going down left and right. This is not looking good for them.
Yes, it's up to 1 final retake for Fans of Blahaj to keep this game alive, but with that time ticking down and Kraken available in the hands of Jovan, waiting for the opportunity to move in, they will find Mia on that pick and finding 2 in total to seal the deal in a very quick 100-0 afterwards. After being initially pushed back here, will lead goji to get that game 1.
Yeah, a very good flip. Fans of Blahaj had that good opening gambit on their side. They were able to get those first initial points on the scoreboard, but once they got fallen out, Goji Plays SOS was really able to really clean this up and just take that hold and keep it under their side for the rest of that game. To the point where at the end there, it was almost a checkmate scenario there. They not only had the Booyah Bomb at the ready, but the Kraken as well. I don't know how Fans of Blahaj was going to be able to push through that if they were even able to take the zone to begin with.
Yeah, you saw the players on the side of Goji Plays SOS just being able to not only get these picks, you saw it at the end, Jovan basically sealing the deal there for Fans of Blahaj with that Octobrush, just waiting in the opportune moment, but you saw every player just kind of knowing their positions, kind of settling up well to just take away these key points, and that's the bread and butter of creating a lockout situation. But we're just gonna fast flow here to game 2. Macklemore already set point for Goji Plays SOS.
Yeah, I guess they know exactly how they want to play it out. We see the Smoosh-O-Matic does get changed out for another V-shot. Very interesting on this map, as might I want to say. No strikes. I'm very genuinely curious about that, but I guess we'll see exactly how they want to play it out here, as both teams clash in mid here to try and see who can take the first control of the zone here. It's still a bit of a duel, but Fans of Blahaj managed to take the first zone.
Yeah, of course, the main concern with running this Zobozuka, at least specifically in this game, is you have to worry about that 10 shield on the other side, just basically acting as a protective shield for the rest of Goji. So really putting your eggs into the Zukas, trying to see if you can get some picks and value off of it. But after a very quick retake, it does look like Goji will be able to get a securing of the zone. 3 specials online for Fans of Blahaj, though, but will they make this a similar story to how game 1 ended?
Yeah, it's being a bit of a tough situation here, but we see 2 Trizukas popped at the same time. Goji Plays SOS running for cover, but it seems like only one got picked off in the midst of all that chaos, and it's not enough for Fans of Blahaj to try and flip it here. They're still at the player team disadvantage here, as Goji Plays SOS is still running away with those points.
Yes, Javon again being such a distraction and presence on this left side with the Octobrush, has Cooler available, so has the green light to basically take these fights. You do see a disconnect on the side of Goji though, but with a player perma down, will they be able to at least maybe save it? It is going to be a very tough hill climb, but you will have, I believe, the game ending just off of that reset. I'm not quite sure the specifics of the rules, but I thought they were under that point threshold.
I want to say that I think they were under the point threshold, but so many tournaments have just minor variations between point and time limits for resets on disconnects here, so it's hard to keep track of everyone's all at the same time. I'm not sure if this was a legal one or not. I guess we'll have to wait and see exactly what the wording comes through, if we get wording, or if this was just a sportsman from both sides saying, yeah, let's just replay that and no big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, it did look like Jovan was the one to end the map on the side of Goji Plays SOS, so we'll just have to wait and see. It does look like it will be a full reset, though, handshake agreement to just kick things right back into gear, but hopefully this time without a disconnect.
Yeah, trying to prevent the ill-fated disconnect with our beloved servers here, but no, we see once again a similar breakout from both these teams trying to fighting out through mid to see who can get the first zone flip. It was Fans of Blahaj who got that first zone flip last time, but Goji Plays SOS getting 2 picks right off the gate, are able to take control immediately.
Yeah, so you see Goji themselves on this right side being able to move forward with that 10 shield, so much presence being created, and Zuka available as well, kind of being a thorn in the side of Fans of Blahaj. You already see Mia trying to come in and clean them out, but with that very quick jump out, just being able to cause that distraction. Look at the amount of points that Goji was able to score just based on the fact that they weren't even ready to push.
Yeah, and Fans of Blahaj is just very struggling here to keep up with the pace of Goji Plays SOS. 37 ticks remaining on their side. Fans of Blahaj needs to go in now if they want to try and recover anything. That first push on the Octobrush is huge. It could be double if they need to try to retake the zone, but the Zuka, the Hammer, there's so many spots being popped left and right to try and stay alive, and that they do manage to stay alive, giving a hefty amount of credit wins to Goji Plays SOS with that wipeout on top.
Yes, and now with that secured, you have to kind of work through a similar story of what you want to do. If you're on the side of Fans of Blahaj, you want to create a similar lockout to which you were locked out. 2 down early does not lead to that advantage, especially with Star going down, and now you have the space and the specials to move in. You have Goji with that Zuka being able to kind of clear up this right stack and force Fans of Blahaj into another retake scenario.
Yeah, but now we see Goji play this OS. They were down 2 for a brief moment there. Fans of Blahaj can potentially try and force themselves once again here on the push here. The hammer coming up from me on the right hand side to try and see if they can get any picks in here. And in the case of all that chaos, Fans of Blahaj does manage to get the one pick. A beautiful Zuka shot here as Wolfie unfortunately gets taken down from the flanking S-Smash from Moonrose here. And now Fans of Blahaj unfortunately lost the zone once again.
Yes, a tug-of-war fight, but yet again, going into the favor of Goji plays SOS. This Booyah Bomb going out, also denying that elbow area. Javon as the Kraken, waiting just for the opportunity for any players of Fans of Blahaj to jump into the loving arms, being able to kind of hold this right stack really effectively here as the penalty continues to take down, specials going out, and it does look like Fans of Blahaj will be losing that retake yet again, but this is their last opportunity now.
This is not a good situation for them to be. 15 points remaining for Goji plays that, so it's Fans of Blahaj needs to go in now. They want to try to stay alive a little bit longer with 5 ticks remaining, and then they break away for the zone, but no, 2 goes down. That's almost could have been a disastrous wipeout there. Goji plays that, so it's Manchester keeps strong and takes this set 2-0.
Yeah, very clean 2-0 nonetheless. First game, second game, both looked very similar in their playing out, just being able to control the zone better, being able to create so many 3-down situations through these plays was Goji plays SOS, and we kind of saw the impact of not only Javon just harping on them, but also Goji's Tenebrella being a very annoying presence, basically shutting down that double shot that Fans of Blahaj were trying to hope for. And if those Zukas didn't hit, which they didn't really hit, it put Fans of Blahaj in a very difficult position to retake, and we kind of saw it play out there.
Yeah, it was very amazing to see Goji plays as West, especially able to highlight the special usage there from these past two games. Were always well timed and well coordinated in a way that even when Fans of Blahaj does manage to get an opportune or an advantage on their side or in their wake, that those specials from Goji plays as was just able to completely just keep them in line and keep Fans of Blahaj out, and it really showed as to why, seeing as now they're 2-0 against them.
Absolutely. That means Goji plays SOS, moves on to the next round to face Envy, the 3rd seeded team in this tournament, so they will be moving on to semifinals. However, we'll be looking at the other half of the tournament, the other half of the semifinals, if you will, as we have not yet determined who will be facing Nightcord at 25 yet, but that will be determined after this very short break. New to comp but don't want to face this? Looking for a tournament to get started? Introducing Setting Sail, a tournament intended for novice level players and teams to gain practice and experience. Sign up as a solo entrant, partial team, or a full team. The semi-draft system ensures everyone gets to play. We have a results-based skill cap with no looty divisions or competitive experience required, so beginners are welcome. Compete against teams in a similar skill bracket, make new friends, scrim partners, and get introduced to the beginnings of how competitive Splatoon works. Quickly turning around, welcome back to Swim or Sink. Yes, that ad read was made by yours truly, but I am not voicing that right now. But let me tell you a little bit about it. Yes, that is correct. Setting Sail is returning back after a hiatus. The 1 and 2 edition went very, very well, and we are returning with a third version happening on September 13th.
Yeah, September 13th. Mark the calendars, folks. And yes, it is gonna be a very, very exciting time. It is a semi-draft. For those of you who don't know or don't have many people to play with, you can sign up alone or bring parts of your team. You don't need a full group, but if you do have a full group, you're also welcome to sign up as well.
Absolutely, and this really opens the doors to many players, no matter how many you have. Feel free to sign up. Cap is around a Div 8 level with some exceptions may be applying, and this is all happening with Under Pressure, so go check out the Under Pressure Discord. I believe it is discord.gg/underpressure, so be sure to go check that out for more announcements regarding that. But back to our regularly scheduled programming. Swimmer Sink 198, moving now to round 3.
Yes, round 3. I do believe we are looking at still waiting for one team to finish up. We do know it's gonna be Nightcord at 25. One team already locked in for our semifinals match here in a second.
Yes, Nightcore at 25.00. That is military time, and that military time does not even exist. As there are only 24 hours in the day, so that is wrong. But hey, maybe they drank so many 24 hours that they unlocked the forbidden 25th hour of the day. But we will be waiting for their opponent, as it's either Tiger Jaw versus Hydroxyc Acid. Very funny names. Though it does look like Tiger Jaw will be the one to kind of get that victory, actually, as I was just yapping about that. They complete the 2-0, so Tiger's Jaw will be the other semifinals opponent.
Yeah, our semifinals now locked in. This is when things really start heating up, folks. We are now switching from a best of 3 to a best of 5. So a little bit more entertainment, a little bit more games to watch here if we can go the full mile. And one more, at the very least, one more opportunity for these teams to really try to bring things around if it is down 1 or 2-0.
Yes. And speaking of which, Tiger Jaw versus Tiger Jaw. The team that just got the better of Hydroxyc Acid has a lot of familiar faces there. You have Tacos, who is formerly a part of the Div X team Boyo. You also have Hayden Bounce. You have Hayden from Lego Fortnite. Bounce and Floral will be your 4 for Tiger's Jaw. And on the other side, number 1 seeded Nightcord at 25. Pooh, Cap and Happy, Sans, and Kiki. Very familiar names to the +1 and plus community in general.
and I'm very much excited to see how exactly this matchup is going to be looking like. And as a quick note here, even though we are in semifinals in our bracket here, we stay, whoever loses here technically does have a third place match, so it won't be out for them just yet. They're locked here just for a little bit longer, but before they get to that, we still have to go through our current state here, which we're going to be kicking things off with Hagglefish Market, a map I very much love.
It is the classic map for zones. It is the sandbox, I always call it, of how teams really have their identity. You kind of know how to expect it when you go to these top teams. Of course, with it being semifinals, only the top of the top remains, so we won't be seeing, at least I'm not expecting a complete triumph in one way or the other because of how, I think, moderately difficult it is to not only hold but retake, so a lot more tug and war action. But in particular, looking at this map, the set as a whole, the map mode that definitely perked up my eyes specifically was Spot Zone's Crab Leg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't see a lot of Zones Crab Leg at all in my in my eyes, anyways. From what I've seen, typically Crab Leg has always been either Clamblets or very rarely I've seen the occasional Rainmaker pop up every here and there, but never Zones. But it is an interesting map nonetheless because it takes a lot of that mid area and kind of restructures it just a little bit. The big thing about it is that those grates above the zone, which I think is a very fascinating place for terrain and to hold.
Absolutely. And just shifting back to Splat Zone Tigerfish Market, I am now noticing that on the side of Tiger's Jaw, Floral does play rollers, so it is going to be, I'm going to look specifically towards how the rest of Tiger's Jaw are really going to kind of support Floral in the way of pushing onto this map, because when you take a look at this map, Hagglefish Market, it is very unforgiving with its flanks, if there even are any flanks to kind of even speak of, because you have two lanes on either side. That's about it, all you can really do there, unless you manage to pull off some very, very sneaky ninja maneuvers. So maybe expecting a lot of paint support, really just to try to create opportunities for them. I know Tacos is a very, very good support player in their own right, so it really will just be up to how Tiger's Jaw will be able to adapt to that. On the other side of Nightcord at 25, very standard comp with your typical pen, double mid-range, and frontline.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Pencil definitely is most likely to be seeing some play here from at least one of the teams at the very least here. Pencil on top of these tents can be very much of a frustrating thing to fight against due to just how much range it has and how much fighting power it has in a safe area, as well as just being able to constantly put out those cool tacticalers at a practically at any given notice there, so that Pencil here wouldn't be any surprise. But I do wonder if there might be a few shakeups for backlines at the very least to try and, maybe try something new here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a welcome sight, but I mean, we all know the strengths of Pen. We all know why it is a meta pick, and I'm sure at the top of the game that we will be upset, at least if we're trying to expect some new weapons, but time will tell. In the meantime, though, still waiting on these two teams to kind of ready up. I believe they're now just picking weapons, just trying to get up the final adjustments for their maps. But yeah, I think the road to victory is clear for both teams. For Tiger's Jaw, how can you enable Floral to really kind of set the spearhead of your pushes and kind of set the pace of your fights? And Nightcord at 25, how are you able to kind of play to your own standard in that way of your balanced comp?
Yeah, I think this is where I like seeing this section of a lot of these tournaments do just like, this is where, teams may start to tire out a little bit and just really try and see how well their stamina with this game can be at these later portions of the tournament. Some of these mistakes you might see happen right here may not have been a thing early on, so it could be just very interesting and fascinating to see how these teams take these longer and longer tournaments. And at this point, this is where pressure stacks, and obviously everyone wants to win here, right? So they're going to do absolutely everything they can to see this to the very end.
For sure, and we're jumping into a best of 5 reminder, so these two teams will get an opportunity to dance with each other. You do see that double midline that I was talking about, the double sword with the Stamper and the decaf being complemented by that Junior on the other side for Tiger's Jaw. You do have Floor with the Vanilla Splat Roller, Keely Ninja Squid as well, so definitely something Nightcord will have to focus and kind of look out for. But the thing on Nightcord that I'm very interested in is the double bubble choice.
Yeah, I guess they really want to try and use that to lock down the zone here. It doesn't seem like it's working too much in their favor, as Junior was the first one to get kicked off here. Tiger Jaw slowly back away to now Nightcord, as they were able to flip that fight, as Tiger Jaw did manage to get a few points before losing it eventually to Nightcord, as they're now going on the offensive for losing another player.
Yes, and with Nightcord running that double bubble, you really want to utilize that space very, very effectively. With that Stamper being your only real retake special, using that Booyah Bomb is also going to be very, very important to how Nightcord kind of plays this game out. They do lose both their swords pretty early there, so they will lose a little bit of that fighting power. You have Bounce on this left side, managing to find another pick, just trying to be that annoying presence and knock this pen back, and it will look like Tiger's Jaw will be able to complete that retake.
What a well-distraction there from Bounce to pull enough attention from Nightcord away from the zone for them to come in to go in, take the zone, and already on the offensive once again. I saw that cracking going on the deep end, but Nightcord's not going to let that take lightly, as we see the Stamper on the right-hand lane here trying to do exactly what that was done to them, pull attention back to the zone, pull it and distract the team. But no, it is not working out in their favor, as Tiger Jaw holds strong with those two down players down.
Yes, and Keely Tacos has Trip Strikes available for them on this end splash, so just waiting for that retake to come in. You do have the Booyah Bombs being placed, but Tacos right back there with the Trip Strikes to kind of counter their only retake special. So this bubble needs to create some space, and they need to get some picks. The initial pick is found on that 96 Deco, and the rest of the players from Nightcord will move in due time, barely being able to kind of save that. But, I mean, you have Tiger's Jaw continuing to contest the zone.
Yeah, very good retake from Nightcord. Just keep themselves alive for just a little bit longer there, but Tiger Jaw is able to hold their ground at least for a little bit before finally going 2 down, but they still have control of the zone at the end of the day here, as Nightcord looks to try and see to flip whatever fight they can, get whatever picks they can here. Going on the offensive now, but Tactical online with Tiger Jaw, meaning these picks aren't going to be that impactful for them just yet. Booyah Bomb getting thrown on the deep end here, as we see Rise Ball going on the deep end side here. 3 players on the enemy flag to try and keep Tiger Jaw out for as long as they can.
Yes, the jump is forced out, but the time is ticking down on Nightcord's points, being able to potentially take the lead here, but we do have to worry about Taco's Trip Strikes. This decaf just trying to see if they can hold this presence, the bubbles and the pen just staring at their soul, managing to take out Tacos, moving throughout that, and another onto Bounce as well. Single-handedly being able to keep this push alive, but on the other side you have, I believe that is Floro managing to take out a couple members of their own and saving that one. Just back and forth mechanical heroic plays will leave this one still in Tiger Jaw's favor.
Now the game has gotten a lot closer here. There's about a 9-point difference between these two teams right now. Nightcord wanting to try and get whatever they can to get a push going. One down on each side, crafting used by Bounce to try and keep Nightcord back and at bay here, but in the midst of the chaos, the zone was flipped down to Nightcord's favor here with 2 players down. Tiger Jaw is going to be forced to back up as Nightcord is looking to try and rain their terror once again, especially with Tactical on their side.
Yes, you have Plue. They are on the side of Nightcord, going down with that decaf, trying to see if they can create that bubble presence. But, I mean, despite not having these retake specials, you still have Nightcord taking Tiger Jaws straight to the limit here. Tacos, with Trip Tricks available, has the opportunity to maybe get down one of these bubbles. They will invest them here, but here comes the retake, and it's a very, very quick one with both swords falling on the side of Nightcord. They will lose that more fronted, more killing power, as it's just left to Kiki and Captain on this backside and try to desperately paint over. Time ticking down in the rest of this game. How long can Tiger Jaws keep this up is going to be the major question.
It is constant back and forth between these teams here. Constant flips of the zone, constant trades here, constant specials being traded back and forth. but 2-0 for Tiger Jaws. Here it means that Nightcord can potentially be on top here as we head into the final 15 seconds of this game. And with the zone in their possession, they can potentially take this overtime. Your revive ball's going on the offensive. You're taking 2 down with it. That's a huge pick on their side and a huge flip. If they can get through those penalty points and only 8 points already, they can absolutely run away with this game and steal the victory from Tiger Jaws. We head into overtime.
Yeah, Tacos needs to get in trip strikes very soon. They will have them online, but with penalty points now, not a situation. Only 5 ticks to move into the zone. All the players jumping desperately on it, and Tiger's Jaw at the very last moment at the buzzer, 1 point away from losing the lead, remain firm there and take game 1.
It came down to the wire here, folks, but at the end, they were still able to hold on and not let that lead swap. I was at the edge of my seat, just waiting to see how that was going to end here, but Tiger Jaws coming out on top. They could not have been a closer game there.
Yeah, and that was all kind of just fueled by the retakes, the constant retakes they were able to create just by the nature of the specials they had. Taco's trip strikes pretty much allowed Tiger's Jaw to move in, create those opportunities to quickly paint that in due time, as I personally believe there's no way Tiger's Jaw retakes that without any retake special such as the trip strikes. On the other hand as well, Floral being able to, I believe, find 3 on the, I believe on one of the other retakes. I don't believe the camera fully caught it, but at the corner of my eye, I saw, despite Pooh getting 2 on the decaf, surviving through all of that pressure under tent, Floral found even more value. So just the yin and the yang, being able to have the support and having those layers to really open things up allowed Tiger's Jaw to take that one.
And I mean, that's the kind of plays and the kind of things you need to make happen here if you want to try to win at this point of the tournament. You know, both these two teams are throwing everything on the table just to make it to that grand final spot. And so now moving on to Mahi Resort, things are going to be absolutely going wild here with such a smaller map compared to Haigo Fish Market. At least until the water level drops, it's no telling which way this first initial portion of the map's going to go like.
Yes, and I think of 2 things. I think of it as a double-edged sword for the teams in terms of what their comp they ran in game 1. Now, Tiger's Jaw, these retakes are going to be very, very important for Mahi. It is a very punishing map if you're unable to get in retakes. On the other hand, Nightcord, those double bubbles could provide a little bit more value just given the structure, given the nature of this map really being able to take even more important space, but it'll just be up to how these teams want to kind of play it. If we will see any changes, we'll just have to wait.
Ooh, I do see a blaster, and I am a big fan of blasters. The vanilla blaster, to be more specific, and I'm very intrigued by that pick here. But both teams make a breakaway here to see who can test the zone first.
And another key thing is Kiki switching away from that junior will be copying Taco's with those trip strikes, kind of seeing the value of it, just the lack of it in the previous game. But already you have Tiger's Jaw going with 3 players down. It does look like this new Nightcord comp is working a little bit better than what happened last time.
But it is still a bit of a struggle here. Tiger's Jaw looking to want to try and come in, move in on this area to make sure Nightcord can't run away with a lot of points. Strikes being traded from both sides, but it doesn't seem to catch anyone just yet. But it does allow Tiger Jaw to move up and take the zone. Once again, Booyah Bomb being thrown here, getting 1 in the process afterwards. That is a huge pick for 2 down for Tiger Jaw once again. But Tactical, it's online with the last 2 standing players here. So it could be a very important flip here, but no, Nightcord just keeps on moving forward and keeps pushing them back.
Yeah, the adjustments made by Nightcord work very, very strongly. Now a lot more balanced comp. Having that blaster with these only solo bubble there, being able to kind of control similarly to how Flora would on that roller on the side of Tiger's Jaw. But more importantly, being able to camp these ledges with the entire map now being lowered down. It is time to go in if you're on the side of Tiger's Jaw.
the full potential of the map is now unlocked. But in the midst of all of this, 20 points are remaining for Nightcord. Tigers are stuck on their side of the map. I don't think the only single player that got picked there was the only person that was able to push through this hole here. But the triple Inkling does manage to come in and save himself and buys him a lot more time, giving the 66 amount of penalty points to Nightcord at 25.
Yeah, it looks very promising for a quick 100-0 knockout for Nightcord, but I mean, they're still knocking at that doorstep. Taco with these strip strikes does go down. A two-player standing situation for Tiger's Jaw. It just looks like every time Tiger's Jaw moves into the zone, they go 1 or 2 players down. These players on the side of Nightcord just making them fight for every inch, for every standing of ground here, as we're near that halfway mark. Kraken being popped by Bounces. Try to see if they can get any distraction, any presence here, but so far Nightcord kind of controlling the table.
Yeah, good breakaway here as they're trying to go and put out blast, but unfortunately they get pushed back in the minutes of all that. Tiger Jaw is able to retake the zone once again. The Booyah Bomb ready for Nightcord, as well as the tactical means they can absolutely go on the hyper offensive here, but no, they're punished immediately. Good picks of Flora here as they stop that push there, and now they have proper control of mid, at least for now, as Nightcord are looking to try and see how they want to re-engage this.
Yes, with Bounce now moving up, trying to take the fight straight to Nightcord. Kraken almost ready as well, but a quick shot by Plue will shut them down. That blaster has been an X factor for them. That bubble being placed as well is broken by those strip strikes. And yet again, you have Nightcord being pushed back a little bit. Some ground being regained by Tiger's Jaw, but still a hefty penalty and some points to go if they want any chance to kind of hold on to this. So 1 or 2 more team fight victories will have to be their fate in order to take this one back.
All of them seeing a little bit of a repeat from the last game here. Nightcord gets the huge opening Gavin on their side, running with a lot of points, and Tiger Jaw playing it slow and steady game, slowly took away those points, and now they're at the 37-point marker from compared to Nightcord's 7. There's about a 30-point differential here, slowly took away as the game goes on. There was 1 minute remaining. It's up to Tiger Jaw to see if they can try and close it out this time around, as they're sent back to this corner, and they're now going to try for a proper reset here.
And Taco's just trying to see if they can build up some more strikes to force that retake. 1-for-1 trade was already had, and now a player advantage, player opportunity to move in for Tiger's Jaw. The strip strikes being invested. The 2 players going down early will lead to the strip strikes not really getting the value. It does look like with penalty points winding down as well. It is desperation time for Tiger's Jaw to get into the zone now. No more penalty points, and yet again, Floral, the frontline player, and Bounce going down. It will be a 1-1 tied set now.
What a good hold from Nightcord. Tiger's Jaw throwing what they can to stay alive and keep this game going so they can potentially flip it at the last few seconds. But they saw what they have done in the past, and they know that they should not take them lightly. And Nightcord just playing it slow, playing it steady, and just manages to keep Tiger's Jaw constantly staggered, I want to say, at least in from what I could tell from watching that. Constantly staggering Tiger's Jaw, not letting them the proper breathing room to properly regroup.
And overall, I saw their entire team effort, their flow was just a lot more stronger just based on the adjustments that they made compared to game 1. Not only just because Kiki was able to get in another retake special, able to kind of move in with trip strikes and being able to kind of match what Tiger's Jaw did in game 1. Pooh switching over to that blaster, such a very annoying presence to deal with, especially if you are the roller on the other side now, making it a little bit more difficult for you to get those sneak attacks. And we really saw it right there, especially on a map such as Mahi Mahi, where if you have control of the zone, you're able to camp these ledges well. You saw how much of a large lead, all the way down to 7, Nightcord were able to build when they had control of the zone.
Yeah, those adjustments really made a huge difference here for Nightcord. But now moving on to game number 3, where the question is, will Tiger Jaw make any adjustments on their own to keep up with Nightcord here? Moving to Pravla Capital, we mentioned this briefly earlier, but this is a very fascinating map, in my opinion. I'm very much eager to see how exactly everyone's going to be playing around the grate that sits right above the zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Can be a very annoying obstacle to kind of navigate, but more interestingly, I'm also taking a look at what Tiger's Jaw could be potentially doing here. Will they switch things up? You had Nightcord making that adjustment that got them that second game victory. Will we see a similar adjustment on the other side? We don't seemingly find anything different on the side of Tiger's Jaw, but maybe minor adjustment on the side of Nightcord, as Kiki will be now going with that V splash for a crab.
And out of the gate, Nightcord loses their first player, but not without picking one of Tiger Jaw's own here. But the first zone does go to Tiger Jaw. The crab cake does come out, push Nightcord back, but they had lost yet another player. Constant back and forth trading from these two teams, but the zone is in a contest state right now. No one has true control of it before Tiger Jaw comes in and finishes the zone.
Yes, got him happy on this pen, managing to find one out to mount. A great start to try to maybe get something going on this retake, but we're seeing something similar to game 1 from Tiger's Jaw, being able to cause their own stagger situation. Just left the Plue on this blaster, will be taken out, and this will be zone control for Tiger's Jaw, maybe trying to get this lead up to that 40-point area, but with a counter Booyah Bomb in, you do have Nightcord back in business now with them running that crab and Booyah Bomb. It gives them several specials to force a retake.
Yeah, but Nightcord not want to let that happen. Already on the offensive here, pushed up so far forward that Tiger Jaw's clumped up to right where they spawned here as points are ticking away. That lead is slow, getting close to being swamped here if Tiger Jaw is not fast and careful where their push is here. But no, not enough manpower does mean that Nightcord is unfortunate. It's fortunately going to take the lead from Tiger Jaw, as that they're still just stuck on their side of the map.
Yeah, moving in with that bubble, trying to force things. You do have bounce as well, investing that crack in 3 specials in total for Tiger's Jaw being invested to try to get control of the zone. They will eventually get it, but you do have the counter specials going out as well to kind of balance things out, and you do still have this very back and forward in mid, as Kiki with that superior paint will be able to secure it for Nightcord. But so far, both these teams just trading blows in terms of specials.
Good special rotation means that not a lot of action can be done in some scenarios here. Both these teams are at a relative stalemate, but the stalemate would be going into Nightcord's favor here. I think he keeps this up because of the advantage of the points and where they're positioned here. But no, special being used on the side of Tiger Jaw, trying to flip the fight here, and they are able to take the zone almost immediately from that and push the offensive, pushing Nightcord out as best they can. Kiki going down with the fight, but unfortunately does not get the pick that they want to see, and now Tiger Jaw has a huge advantage here in mid.
Yes, penalty points are down, but the specials are there on the other side for Nightcord, especially that Booyah Bomb, which will quickly flip that zone, as well as that bubble. Really nice patience from Nightcord to just wait for the wave of Tiger's Jaw to move in and then retake it with their own firepower. Tacos does have trip strikes available, so it is not quite over yet for Nightcord. They just need to regroup, and Tiger's Jaw to just really regroup, push in, and try to take out these specials. But here is Kiki with that crab, just making it ever so more difficult, especially since Floral goes down to it.
And now we're in dangerous territory for Tiger's Jaw. Those penalty points are gone. Nightcord is locking Tiger's Jaw out as best they can. Tri-strike does come out from them, but it is rendered ineffective here as they're able to keep control of the zone here. Beautiful pick from Kiki, preventing Tiger's Jaw from even entering, getting close to the zone, and they're able to ride those final points here, bringing the set 2-1 in favor of Nightcord at 25.
Yeah, and it seems like they've found their stride. They found what's worked with this more frontal paint support, with the splash, with the blaster, and having that 1-2 punch kind of take the aggression to you, and the midline stamper being able to set up the situations as well. This is 2 instances in which they've kind of found Tiger's Jaw's number, really being able to win those fights in that manner. And with Tiger's Jaw being on the back foot now, is the time to make any adjustments if necessary. Nightcord has your number. Moving to Umami Ruins, you need to make this map count.
Yeah, this is where things really matter the most. To stay alive in this tournament for a little bit longer. And I am a very big fan of Umami Zones, simply for the fact that it is a 2-zone map. But also, since it is a 2-zone map, these zones are pretty much smaller than normal, and they're so small where I believe that a splat roller is able to properly contest it against a junior without too many issues. That's how small these zones are, and it could be a it could come down to a literal coin toss for how these zones get picked and flipped.
Yeah, I know the nature of two zones. Gonna be a lot more contested in that mid. Gonna be some.
Oh, are we back? Oh, are we back? It happened again. Oh, no worries.
I was like, at the beginning of that, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
where did my viewing go? I don't know what happened. Yeah, like, crap.
Yeah, got it.
Let us know when I just stream back. I'm assuming our mics will be fine. I guess you can pick up back where you left off, Dirk.
Yeah. Oh, okay, we're back. We are live. Sorry for the quick hiccup there, folks. A bit of a technical issue with our producer, but we are back and things are looking hot here. Tiger's Jaw is at the helm here. 35 points remaining on their side. Nightcord with only 11 points scored on their side. Tiger's Jaw can absolutely run away with this game here.
Yeah, and basically what you missed was Tiger's Jaw kind of took the winning formula with what Nightcord was able to do and create a very great lockout situation of their own, making it all the way down to that 9-point mark before Nightcord could really make any contestation into the zone. But we know how resilient this team is, so it is not time to count them out quite yet, especially since you do have this crowd ability cooler up as well. It is going to be a very, very important retake for Tiger's Jaw to have if they want to just secure this one.
Yeah, I mean, if history showed in the past few games, once Nightcord gets set up and gets their ball rolling, it is absolutely hard to break through them. Tiger's Jaw, unfortunately, does struggle a bit with these retakes and with these recontestants here. And though, even though they do have special on the line and one player picks here, Nightcord is able to use their own specials to slow down Tiger's Jaw and keep them at bay. But Top is going with the triple ink strike, does not unfortunately get the value of it as Bounce going in with the practice to see if we can get any pick here, but no, unfortunately does not find anyone as both zones are in contest here. It is not anyone's zone just yet, but 3 down for Tiger's Jaw means that Nightcord can absolutely take away this game and clean up mid.
Yeah, and just like that, that very large lead that Tiger's Jaw has is basically gone. Nightcord looking very, very promising here. 2 players down already on the side of Tiger's Jaw. Make that 3, and with that wipeout, final nail in the coffin for Tiger's Jaw as Nightcord will end that one in a gentleman's sweep, taking the set 3-1 and punching their ticket to finals.
What a showing from Tiger's Jaw, staying for as long as they did against Nightcord, but at the end, once Nightcord figured out all the strategies that Tiger's Jaw had in hand there, they are unfortunately not able to keep up, and they were just able to clean up the most of these games. But still, a huge congratulations to Tiger's Jaw for making it as far as you did, but you're still not out of it just yet. You do have your 3rd place matchup here going in, which we do know who they're going to be facing. A team we started out with, Goji plays SOS. That's who they'll be fighting against for their 3rd place match here. But Nightcord at 25, moving on to grand finals, they'll be going up against our seed number 3, Envy.
Yes, that is going to be a matchup for sure for the title of Swimmer Sync number 198, but we will be taking our very final break just to make sure the mice don't bite on the wires again, so we'll be right back for the finale of Swimmer Sync.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I was in between. My name is SPF Dark. I'm here with Rocket, and we're coming at you with grand finals of SOS 198. Nightcord at 25 versus Envy.
Yes, our 1 and 3 seeds respectively. You saw how Nightcord was able to bounce back from that initial Game 1 loss that they had in semifinals to go basically undefeated the rest of the way. On the other side, Envy beating that very, very strong team, Goji Plays SOS. We saw how dominant they were. Envy won in a sweep, so both these teams, heavyweight fight. This is what we're all tuning in for. This is the match to end it all.
Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be an explosive first game, especially the first game, as both of these two teams are trying to see exactly how each other plays out and how each of these teams are going to be coordinating with each other to try and counteract the other. And now, kicking things off with Robo Ramen, a map I very much enjoy playing, watching, and commentating for. There is so much you can do with this map, even though it might get a little bit logo heavy in certain scenarios.
Yes, as well. Yet again, being taunted by another player that could be bringing something besides Pen. On the side of Envy is Sky, who could be potentially bringing a Charger. Charger fairly strong on this map as well. For that sniping perch, can provide a little bit more of a dangerous element that Nightcord would really have to worry about. But I mean, we saw how good Nightcord was as making adjustments as well. We saw they looked at that Game 1 and was like, okay, this comp is not working, let's change it up. They went away from that double sword, away from that double bubble, and instead went with a lot more of a balanced, more fighting, aggressive comp, and it worked wonders. So it's now do or die time on this set.
Yeah, this is where it all really comes down to, you know, even though the last game technically had, or the last set and the last round had technically one last chance for their third place match, here you don't get that second chance here. There is either first place and second place, and depending on how the set turns out, both these two teams will getting one or the other, regardless of the outcome here. And so I'm very much eager to see exactly how things are going to be playing out here as we get just a brief overview on what the rest of these maps are going to be like if we get that far. And I am seeing a common trend of a lot of these maps tend to be just a little bit more lockout centered.
Yes, absolutely. Fireworks as well for Game 5. It so comes down to it. I feel like it was chosen almost as on purpose for Game 5, as I'm sure that is the most chaotic, most lockout heavy one. Mentioned it earlier previously in that previous set for a reason. So definitely keep your eyes on that if we get to that moment. But I mean, no real surprises from any of these maps really for spot zones.
Yeah, we've seen almost all of these already in our block here. So with these two teams doing their final deliberations here, we see exactly what they're going to bring off to start off this grand final set, folks, between this Nightcord at 25 versus Envy.
Yeah, and we do see a interesting choice on the side of Nightcord. An S-Blast that we haven't seen from them in that previous set is brought out here by Plue, and originally on that V-Blaster. And on the other side, we do see a sloshing machine, which is fairly uncommon. That S-Blast goes down really early though, so Envy will have first control of that zone.
Good opener by Envy, pushing Nightcord back right out of the gate with their special, with their potential being used to try and bring contestant over peeking here, not showing any fear by entering that bubble there and taking the one player down at the very least before trying to use their special to get ready for a retake here. Nightcord flipping the zone.
Yes, stargazing on this sloshing machine. That Bria Bomb will be the main retaking special that Envy kind of uses to work up. You do have them moving up that elbow side as well. Both teams running that pen for the backline. So it's really going to come down to these main, more frontal weapons. We're Bling managing to find one onto Kiki. The hammer going in from the Wiper, finding Plue, and Envy just taking the fight straight to Nightcord, being able to control this elbow.
but someone from behind managed to at least give a little bit of a scare to Envy, and they're almost able to take the zone from right behind their backs, but unfortunately getting picked out there, and Envy just remaining stalwart here, not letting Nightcord a single bit of breathing room over here to try and engage. And now with 30 ticks remaining on the zone here, things are starting to look a bit dangerous here. The zone is going to be flipped though, thanks to Kiki's zone, triple ink strikes here, and a beautiful push from Nightcord to try and push Envy back, and pretty much their hammer comes out, and it's just utter chaos between these two teams.
Yeah, Booyah Bomb is being thrown on each other's elbows. Nobody will be having that area, but Nightcord back in business, in control of the zone, and we know how great they are at holding this, so it's going to be up to Envy moving up with that Booyah Bomb to really secure this. You have 2 players going down, though, as the Stamper finds 3 just left to Poo on the side of Nightcord to run for the hills, and that is how you retake right there, just being able to eliminate all that stand in front of you. Envy now in a great position to continue this stagger.
Even though they do have a decent chunk of penalty points on their side, those penalty points are almost gone at this point. And now, from history, we know that the player from Nightcord is gonna attempt to flake, and at the ready this time around, Envy was ready to counteract that flake, and those penalty points are gone at this point. Now, with only 20 points remaining, Nightcord rushes in with the specials, are trying to at least contest the zone and retake it once again, and they do barely manage to scrape by with that retake there, but Envy strikes back almost immediately and flips them back into their name.
Yeah, Mega on this Viper on the side of Envy has been a major problem for Nightcord to kind of really deal with the hammer being that new elements that we haven't, that is seemingly looking like just breaking the defense of Nightcord, but you have to be moving into this S-Blast with a Booyah Bomb of their own, yet again, placed on that elbow area to kind of just cut off protection from Cap and that pencil here, and you just have them moving forward, slowly but surely moving up to that elbow area, and it does look like Nightcord will be moving up to as far as they have been during this match. They haven't gotten to really this point yet this entire match, and it's looking like they're thriving.
Yeah, now giving Envy a taste of their own medicine. They're trying to lock Nightcord trying to lock Envy out here for as best they can, for as long as they can. Rifle sharking, unfortunately it goes awry, forces the Booyah Bomb, and they are unfortunately traded out, but the Booyah Bomb comes out from Stargazing to keep themselves alive, throwing at the zone to contest this for at least a little bit, but the points are still finding a way, barely able to take the lead. Envy now unfortunately has to retake the zone and re-go through those penalty points if they want to take the lead once again, but if they want for one trade, they can go either way, folks!
Yes, 1 minute remaining, do or die time. Trip strikes being invested here. Quickly flip the zone in favor of Nightcord. Will delay this comeback attempt ever so slightly, but both teams just viciously fighting for control, both popping their specials. You have Mega with this hammer available as well, scaring away the members of Nightcord just to buy some space. That bubble placed just in the nick of time to save Bling Bling's life here, with time ticking down, penalty almost over. Here come the strikes from Nightcord, and here comes the retake. Booyah Bomb is also available for them.
Both of these two teams are fighting tooth and nail for zone control, but Envy barely makes a straight by once again, but 2-0 for Nightcord means that Envy could potentially run away with the remainder of this game here. Try checks coming out again for Nightcord to try and contest the zone, but it's just not enough. Nightcord doesn't have the player power here to try and take proper control. 1 down from either side, 10 seconds remaining. Nightcord in control of the zone. We could potentially see an overtime victory here, but it's going to be a hard-fought victory nonetheless.
Yeah, so these retake specials have to come in for Envy. The hammer is no longer in possession of them to really work with. That respawn will have to come in quickly. They do have the hammer and the thing to go in, but from behind, it looks like Envy was able to get a player in to pin control the zone without the knowledge of Nightcord there. So sneakily from behind, taking that game 1, a very, very back and forth game. And if that's any indication of how the set is going to go, we are in for a show.
Oh man, I couldn't agree more. But the opening of this game was a little bit more fair for Envy, but as the Nightcord got into their flow against Envy specifically, they started figuring out those tricks. They started figuring out what they need to do to actually fight back against Envy, and they really brought a run for their money at the very end there, taking it down. So I think it was about a 2-point differential between those two teams there, but unfortunately for them, it's Envy who came out on top with that sneaky back cap from one of their players, and man, oh man, I'm very much excited to see the remainder of the set.
Yes, as it was brought up, a C9, if you will, basically unable, going a little bit ahead of themselves without realizing there was a player on Envy being able to kind of go in from behind, steal that zone back. Really nicely done from them to kind of show that balance. It was just a matter of mere moments. It was a matter of one pick here, one pick there. It was just that tightly fought, and I expect nothing less from both these teams in Grand Finals. Now, moving over to Splat Zones, Barnacle and Dime. What can you really expect here, Dark?
It is a different shakeup compared to Robo Ramen. And it's not the fact that no going into this next game here. We might see the pencils stay. Definitely those triple ink strikes definitely will probably stay here as well. As for specific weapon picks, it's very much up in the air. I mentioned earlier on our blog saying that this map is flat, it is open, though there are little hiding spots to make some of the sharking and flanking weapons viable here, so it really is up for these players' discretion to try to decide if they want to stick with what they have in the past to bring it forth to its full potential here and in the second game, or do they want to try and shake things up moving forward?
Does look like Nightcord moving back to that double sword, not double bubble though, as you will have that Booyah Bomb on the side of Nightcord in the hands of Viceball to retake, and on the other side, same comp from Envy. We saw it work wonders here, but can it do the same on Barnacle and Dime just going into this?
Both teams making a breakaway for this zone. See who can get that first contest on their side. We do see triple increments being used, Caterpillar being used, Crab Take being used, Bubbler being used, Blasters being popped left and right from both teams, but it's Envy who comes out on top to take the zone here, but it's a 1-for-1 trade from either side, but Tacticaler is online for Envy side, so that trade is going to be in the favor of Envy as they're moving forward and pushing Nightcord back, but 2 down from either side is still anyone's game as both these two teams are still fighting out and then to see who can truly come out on top.
Yeah, the Booyah Bomb invested as well, a lot of specials and emphasis just trying to maintain control in the middle of zone. Eventually will go Nightcord's way as a 3-player down situation will have Envy reeling back, but the most important part of this double sword comp is just the killing ability of Nightcord that they have here. Now, without them having that double bubble to really have the disadvantage of not having a retake special, you have the ability for Plue to just go in and slice and dice, and we see the effects of it going to go through wonders here. I mean, you see that them already down to that 42 point mark.
Yeah, a bit of a duel there between the two Splatanas, but comes out Envy on top as they were not able to get that pick from the other Stanford, but they're able to pick up another pick, quickly flip the zone and already end their enemies at spawn point here, going on the defense side, getting one before getting picked out here, and now Envy not a lot of penalty points on this side, already moving over, taking away with the real actual points here as they're slowly trying to keep this under their control, under their favor. Booyah Bomb going to be used to try and make a breakaway here for in the favor of Nightcord.
Yeah, Envy trying to get in a comeback of their own. Blue goes down, so player advantage on the side of Envy to take control of this space. Stargazing almost to their own Booyah Bomb as well. The zone heavily contested between both sides, and Nightcord does manage to at least stay alive for the sheer moments of it, and the lead will be switched, however, to Envy now near this halfway mark. Both sides putting emphasis on trying to take this flat area. Booyah Bomb going out in synchronization, basically making a Venn diagram there, but Envy still in control of the zone, just continuing to build that lead.
Yeah, it's just utter chaos between these two teams, Rocket. They're just fighting everything, using whatever they can to come out on top. And Envy still in control of the zone here before going down from a jump in. Constant fights, constant back and forth picks here, but Envy slowly taking away with those points. There was 3 down on Nightcord's side. I believe that's going to be game there, as Nightcord's not going to be able to contest the zone as we see the remaining points go down to 0.
I cannot over exaggerate how impressive Envy was on that hold. Both sides playing turf war in the middle there, still maintaining the zone. Envy during that entire time, remember, went 2 players down and went several of their players down constantly over and over. Sky really being the only player on Envy that didn't go down in that instance, but being that backbone, being that core to your team, and most importantly, staying alive while contesting the zone. I mean, bravo Envy to just stay alive during that. They didn't lose that zone once and were able to complete that quick retake and quick game, and now we're looking at something I'm sure none of us really expected here, a potential sweep.
Yeah, I mean, sitting 2-0 in grand finals, the scores of this set will not tell you how close this game actually is, but maybe there's something that Envy's doing consistency-wise to try to constantly keep getting these games over on Nightcord in the final few moments of the game. Now moving on to game number 3, match point for Envy, Splat Zones, Mako Mart. I'm very much eager to see exactly how these two played out here. Mako Mart is, I think it's probably one of the more fun maps for zones specifically, just because of how diverse the terrain is and what you can really pull out here.
Absolutely, and you mentioned it. This 0-2 doesn't really show the strength of Nightcord or give them any justice for making it here. They are a very dominant team, and they will be moving back to that winning formula that we saw in that previous set. On the other side, a bit of a switch up here. Now the Tri-Slosher being pulled out, the Screen Tri-Slosher, and it is a very good weapon, especially for Mako Mart, just being able to control the stack area.
Yeah, right out the gate, Envy's able to take control of the zone.
Not going down without a fight. We'll take that early lead, but just trying to see if they can get control of the zone. If you're on the side of Nightcord, you just gotta bounce back. You gotta make sure Plue on that blaster really gets synergy with that splash to be the kind of frontal head spear that you want for Nightcord, and it seems to be working at least for now. 35 ticks remaining on Nightcord's side, and Envy are on the other side of potentially a quick 100-0, but with them rallying on this left side, they will take quick control back of zone.
Things are starting to look a little bit shaky there for Envy. Nightcord getting dangerously close to a knockout there, but Envy was able to at least get a decent amount of penalty points to Nightcord with their own retake, and now they're looking to try and see if they can get Nightcord properly out of mid with a really weird pick there from the head as Nightcord is forced to properly reset here.
Points ticking down now for Envy to kind of settle themselves in. They have this bubble protecting the sky, protecting them from any danger. They're managing to find another pick onto Rice Ball too, which is really impressive, but if you're on the side of Nightcord, you still have a little bit of time to kind of gather your specials. Not if the splash goes down though to Crisp, who's already in the spawn of Nightcord, doing their damage, doing what needs to be done to buy Envy the time to get back to speed, and it does look like they will be able to take it thanks to that point.
Yeah, a very good aggressive play from Envy to keep Nightcord staggered long enough so they can take the lead there. And now it is Nightcord who's been one who's consistently staggered once again. Envy looking to try and maintain control as best they can, but there's only 8 points remaining for the zone. They're looking to try and fight, but you don't need to fight right now. You need to make sure you can keep the zone in contest so you don't lose this game, unfortunately. Nightcord doing everything they can to stay alive, to keep this game alive a little bit longer, and a wipeout means that they have one more shot to potentially take this game, but with the 25-point differential, this is going to be a hard one to win.
Absolutely, Dart. It is still backs against the wall for Nightcord, not only because it's do or die time, but you still have a bit of a hefty lead for Envy. Yes, the penalty points are significant, so you have some time to work with, but you need to eat through your own points. Rice Ball on this left side, poking at this ledge, has Booyah Bomb available, just waiting for the drop, and here it is coming in from Envy, trying to get this retake. The penalty points now no longer a problem here, but here comes the hammer from Chris to move in, finding one, finding two. That could be the opening that Envy needs to get control of the zone. Kiki really the last player on Nightcord to maybe put up any contention here, but it will be an Envy retake, and yet again Nightcord sweating bullets now as they have to get this retake.
This is where things really shake up now. There's a decent amount of penalty points for Envy before they can actually close out this game. Nightcord has an opportunity here. If they play their cards right with that initial pick there from the wiper, could be a huge thing to get rolling on their side. Nightcord looking at with 1 minute remaining on this game. Booyah Bomb coming out to try and clear the crates. We see Tactical coming out from Envy to keep himself alive a little bit longer. We see one player going down from the side of Envy. That Tri-Ashen going down, but those penalty points are still alive. 10 ticks remaining before they actually get this point here. Nightcord is fighting tooth and nail to take control and get whatever they can.
Yeah, Yes, but Nightcord eventually in control of zone, but for how much longer? 50 seconds remaining. The double found by Bling Bling here, and with that bubble being popped on that left stack, such an important position being held by Envy. Rice Ball with the Booyah Bomb, the mini contested, throw them a little bit out of whack, but with this Booyah Bomb being had, you do have a little bit of an opportunity for them to kind of cause chaos. Sky managing to get the better of them on that, and 30 seconds remaining. Envy looking for the straight knockout, the KO here, trying to prevent any retake attempt, trying to sticking down those screens being popped, as well as Nightcord desperately trying to get their special into control of the zone.
There's 15 seconds remaining on this game. Envy has control of the zone here, but Nightcord trying to contest as best they can. 1 down for an Envy means that there's the player advantage on the side of the Nightcord. 2 down for an Envy, 3 down for an Envy. That is going to be a delayed wipeout. That is a huge thing as we enter overtime with a 40-point penalty on Nightcord's side. They have to stay alive for a decent amount of time if they want to try and take away this game here, but unfortunately for them, that step is already gone.
Yes, the Junior has bubble as well. If they can get onto this left stack, Envy is able to get in a really good retake. The hammer is also available, managing to take out players to fall on the side of Nightcord, and in a convincing fashion, in a convincing upset, Envy, our 3 seed, will get a 3-0 sweep over Nightcord, taking Swimmer Sink number 198.
Oh, whether it be a 3-0, good for Envy. It does not tell a thing about how close these games were, coming down to a literal wire. Not for 1 game, not for 2 games, for all 3 games. Nightcord could have absolutely won any of those games and took us to a game 5 scenario here, but Envy has something in them to consistently close out each and every game, making them your grand finals winners here in SOS 198.
And in a very impressive fashion as well. I mean, the retake formula for Envy was the same pretty much every time. Really group up on their home stack, that left stack with the bubble, and really flood the zone with all you got. And we saw it happen for the final time there at the very end, when it mattered most, when all Envy needed was 1 retake. What did they do? They went back to that flood, and it worked wonders. GG's to them. And it's just all impressive around. Nightcord are not a team to be scoffed at, and that just adds to the impressiveness of how Envy was able to do so in such a dominant fashion.
Huge shout outs for both of these 2 teams for doing what they did here tonight. Congratulations for Envy for taking this set here, and a huge congratulations to Nightcord for taking it at least this far. 2nd place is still not a thing to take lightly. You wear that badge proudly moving forward, and man, oh man, what, not only what a set it was, but what an extraordinary block that was. I was very glad to see these games here tonight, but unfortunately, folks, with that being said and done, that being our last game of the night, we are going to start wrapping up things here, folks. Rocket, anything else you want to say or add or plug as we close things out?
Yes, I'm going to be plugging my Blue Sky. You'll find me at Rocket1 on Blue Sky. You'll also find me at Rocket_Splat on Twitch. What about you, Dark?
Oh, you can find me on most social media websites at SPF Dark, and more often than not, though, you hear my voice time and time again across the myriad organizations we have here in this community, either here in IPL, Under Pressure, CCA, Dow Productions. I am literally all over the map, so you most likely hear my voice time and time again on a relatively weekly basis. But with that being said and done, folks, huge congratulations once again to Envy and Nightcord at 25 for their performance here, and I am very glad to see exactly how these things panned out to be. But we are done here for the night, folks. Enjoy the rest of your night and have yourselves a good one.